Hey there, welcome back to Ask Amy. I have a question today from Lesia. I hope I'm saying your name correctly. She says, I've struggled with food and eating habits since I was 11 and I'm now 50. I intellectually understand that without our interference, our body will heal itself and guide us to eat how we need to eat. But as soon as I stop restricting or controlling what I eat and how much I eat, I gain weight, and I'm currently continuing to gain weight. Will my body at some point return to its natural health? What if I gain 50 pounds, which I have done in the past? This fear is holding me back from letting go of the supposed control I have in my eating, which I don't actually have because the restriction always eventually results in overeating. Okay, so Lesia, I love that you see that. That's huge to see. You're not controlling anything really. There's, and this really speaks to the whole question in general. There's like the body and the body mind just have this kind of natural balancing mechanism. They have this kind of check and balance. And so you're right when you say like you can feel like you're controlling and restricting and do that to some degree, but ultimately the other side kicks in, as it should. It makes sense that when one is controlling and restricting, that at some point we're going to start to overeat, because that's just a really wise system, body mind system, that says no, we need something else here. So the thing is that when you stop controlling or trying to control, when you stop restricting, the body mind kind of needs to get back on board with that. And sometimes that can take a little bit of time. And sometimes that looks like weight gain and sometimes it doesn't. But what I think is so big to see in this is like, our mind wants to know. I'll stop restricting if I can be guaranteed that I'm not going to gain 50 pounds, or I'll do this if things go this way. And that's just keeping you on this kind of control illusion roller coaster. This body mind, like how it wants to kind of just, what it wants to settle into is way wiser than thinking that says, I don't want to gain 50 pounds and I'm not going to. So if that means I restrict for the rest of my life, fine. Well, as you've seen, I mean, that doesn't really work either. That doesn't give you what you want either. So there is a natural kind of balance mechanism in general, but after a lot of controlling and restricting, the body mind needs to settle into what's natural and what's balanced and what's good for it. And it might not be what your mind says it is. Usually it's not. Often it's not. So it might look like a little bit of weight gain for a while. It might look like weight gain for quite a while, weight that stays on the body for quite a while, which is more than what your mind says it should be. And I know this is not easy to hear sometimes because we have so much thinking, such a long history of thinking about what it means that our body has a certain mass. I don't know, like all of these conditioned thoughts that were taught to us and that we've adopted and that feel like us. But that's where your freedom is. If your body needs to put on some weight and hold that weight for a little bit, then I'd trust it. That's what needs to happen. But the mind isn't going to like that. And that's the thing to see. And that might not happen, by the way. And again, a lot of times it happens initially, perhaps, because the body mind is kind of freaking out. It's like, whoa, I'm actually being fed. And so I'm going to take what I can. And then when it sees it's safe, which who knows how long that takes, but when the body mind kind of sees, okay, I'm being consistently fed, now I don't have to hold on to this extra weight. So, that happens a lot, but that doesn't matter. Like, that's all going to just work itself out. What's going to be hard for you, or for most of us, most likely, is that thinking that wants to go back to pretending that it can control things, that wants to convince you that this body's better than that body. It will bring in data that even says like this body is healthier than that body. A body without an extra 30 or 40 or even 50 pounds is healthier than this body. But do you really know that? Do you really know that? Or is that just more evidence taken from what other people have said totally biased by a ton of conditioning that reinforces, what already feels sort of comfortable. Do you really know that a body that's carrying an extra 40 or 50 pounds is less healthy than one who's restricting food? I mean, this is all thinking. So we just want to keep looking at that, seeing the thinking that comes up and being so curious about it, not taking it as truth, watching those patterns, feeling how right or wrong something feels. When you lose some weight, how everything, your mind, ego gets so excited, and you gain weight and ego's so crushed. But what the heck is that? That's not you. Those aren't your preferences. It doesn't really matter. So this, everyone knows this in the big picture, but if you want to do this, if you want to get off this roller coaster, it's a time for you to really kind of slow down and watch the patterns of thinking that come in, and maybe really just be with them in a way that maybe you haven't before, where it's like, wow, look at that thought. Holding nothing as the truth, but just, again, watching what the mind wants to say. And you'll see very clearly why it's led you, as it has to many, many people, to restricting for 30 some years. It's a mess in there when we're believing all of that. So the other thing I'd mention, so in terms of just stopping the restricting and the body mind kind of doing what it needs to do for a while to feel safe, to get back in a natural rhythm, yes, that will happen. And it may not look the way your mind wants it to look, and it may not happen in the timing your mind wants. But I think that mechanism is there, and it happens that way. The other piece is to just watch, again, kind of what happened when you're not restricting, when your mind doesn't have all this restriction to focus on, counting and figuring and planning, when you're just doing what makes sense. That's going to free up the mind that is used to being a little obsessed about this restriction thing. So kind of noticing, again, what comes up and how you're feeling. And if you start overeating, if you start eating when you're not hungry, eating stuff that you don't want out of comfort, just noticing that too. Some weight gain might happen just from the body mind getting used to being free. Some might happen because there's new stuff coming up that you don't want to feel, and that's okay. And this is all fluid, it's not like you comfort eat a little bit and you gain some weight and that's there forever. I mean, everything's always changing. It's all okay. But it might be helpful to just kind of notice. So that's the other big question, is like, when I'm wanting to eat, when I'm actually not hungry, what is here that I'm not wanting to feel? And I don't mean asking that question to answer it. Don't let the mind tell you. The mind doesn't know. It knows nothing. It'll spit out answers, but this isn't a question to get answers back. It's something to feel into, like really just being in what's actually arising right now, and questioning, again, without needing an answer, what's wrong with this? What's wrong here right now? Why does this feeling need to change? Can I just be in this energy right this second? And getting more and more comfortable in what is here now, when it's here, it just really changes a lot. And it I don't know, there's almost no words to say. It's almost too simple to even say much more about that. So I hope this is helpful, Lesia, and let me know and reach out. I mean, it's a big thing, I know, after 30 some years of restricting, to really be ready to let that go. It's a big thing, and it's not because everything knows what it's doing. It's all fine. The body mind's going to work itself out. It's all going to work out. But it can be a little bit of a bumpy road emotionally and mentally, and there's a lot that's going to come up for you to just kind of be in and see. So reach out if you need some support with that. So thanks for sending your question. Send your questions to askamy@thelittleschoolofbigchange.com. And I'll see you guys next time.